Now that you understand all the camera cares about is light, let's talk about the different ways it can control that light. This was a big light bulb moment for me when I first started shooting, so I hope it is for you too. If you've picked up your camera and played around with it, you've probably experienced using auto mode. That's the green square, the auto symbol you see on your dial. We want to get you out of this mode forever. Why? Because here's another great secret about photography. A doesn't just stand for auto. It stands for average. And when you're in auto mode, your camera is simply averaging the light in the scene to take a photo. And you don't have control over it. The camera makes all the decisions. This is why sometimes it's great, but most of the time you just get inconsistent results that make you frustrated because you don't know how each shot is going to turn out. Now let's look at these other modes. You may have auto scene modes that let you flip through things like portrait mode, sports mode, night mode, and so on. You're also going to see other modes that have letters as symbols. You're going to see a P, S, A, and M. If you're using a Canon camera, those letters will be P, TV, AV, and M. So what are these other modes for? I want you to think of these as in-between modes. They give you a little control and the camera a little control. These letter modes are called priority modes. In these modes, you only have control over some of the settings, which means your camera still has control over the final outcome of the image. So why would we only want control over some of the settings? These modes are a great option when you don't want to worry about controlling all that light, but you still want some creative control of your story. The setting that matters most, of course, is M, which stands for manual mode. This is the mode that gives you complete control over how your camera sees your story. In manual mode, you have control over not only the light, but you also have control over the movement and the focus in your story. I promise you won't even want to touch these priority modes after you realize how much creative control you have in manual mode. So don't be intimidated by it. The best thing you can do right now is switch into manual mode and never look back. You may have the tendency to want to revert back into auto mode because it's easy and comfortable, but don't do it. Stay in manual, stick with it, and I promise this will all start to click in this course. Can you promise me one thing? No matter what you do, I want you to try your hardest to stay in manual mode, even when it gets tough. When we learn and we're pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone, we will make mistakes, but this is how we learn. As long as you stick with it, I promise, by the end of this course, you will have the confidence to begin practicing in manual mode every time you turn that camera on. All right, are you ready? Switch into manual mode now and let's go pro.